Hello, welcome back to Ben Sushi LIVENODING. In this episode, I'm gonna show you how you can combine the multiple Alembic bake export. So basically, I'm gonna give you an example. So I bake out these face animations that I recorded using the iPhone 10 in real time, and I bake it as Alembic because it's gonna be a lot faster. Once it's become Alembic, I can just like real time scrub it. So this is the result. I break the Alembic into like 1,000 frames split, and I have 3 of them, and this is what I got. And let's make this 3,000 frame. Well, with the Alembic, if we bake it with the transform, we cannot actually move this guy. So for this simplicity, I'm gonna actually remove the transform cache. Now that the transform cache is removed, the face is actually free. And let's do the same for this guy and also this guy. So I can scale it and whatnot. File, save as. This is a mixing Alembic. So let's have a look what's going on right now. So we have 3,000 frames in total. So we have that's the first phase right there, and then the second one, and the third phase. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna duplicate one of the phase. This is the target. I'm gonna duplicate it. So we have now target 3, 1, and target 2. Okay, rename it so it's clearer which one is which. So we have 3 phases, and each with a different separate Alembic cache, and this is going to be the master master target. And for the master target, I'm gonna just reset this guy, reset the rotation, and reset the orientation. Okay, now I'm gonna use like a multiple modifier stack for the mesh sequence cache, and optimally kind of mixing them all together, like these 3 Alembic into one. So let's do that real quick. I'm gonna simply select this guy and this guy. Actually, Control L. Control L might not work. So I'm just gonna do the mesh sequence cache, make a couple. So we have the first one, the second one, and the third one. Second one should use the one between frame 1,000 and 2,000, and the third one 2,000 to 3,000. And we also need to give this object path. There you go. I think it should be working, right? Let's check it out. So apparently, see, with the modifier stack, the last stack actually overriding the whole mesh. Currently, this is kind of like the behavior. So that's kind of not what we want. We want it to have like a proper for it just to override when as needed. So for example, if I turn off number 3, this guy will read actually the second one, and if I turn off number 2, it's gonna read the first one. So 1. The correct behavior is that it reads the first phase animations, and then it should read the second one, continue, and then read the third one. So I want that kind of behavior. So for that, I will use Sverchok to do that. And at the same time, we also want to kind of override the frame if you ever need to make any changes. So So let's take a look how we can do that using Sverchok nodes. So let's have a look. This is our master head. We're gonna use the objects selector or object filter. So objects, setting objects ID. Object ID selector, that's what we need, and we're gonna select our objects, which is this target, and we're gonna use object ID set. First of all, I want to set the frame for this guy, you know, like this is the modifier. This is modifier we are working on, and let's say we want to override the frame, and for that we probably need to check it with a Python. So our object is bpy.data.objects target. So that's our objects. Let's put it into a variable ob equal, and then ob dot modifiers should give us the 3 modifier. I think mesh sequence cache dot 001 and dot 002. And then with the cache, I think we have an attribute called cache file, and then also the frame, and we can change it using Python this way. So I'm gonna grab that and then copy it and then paste it here. Plug the objects there. So we can now observe the frame number. We can actually plug in like a frame number into this guy, and if I scrub now, you see this attribute is now being controlled by the frame. So that's the behavior that we want. So let's do the same for the mesh sequence cache .001, and also for mesh sequence cache .002. So now this frame number controlling this frame right here. I just turn on this override frame manually. So that's good. All we need to do now is the ability to turn on and off this show in the viewport and show in the render. By doing that with the correct timing, we're gonna have all these 3 animations mixed into one Alembic. So that shouldn't be too hard. Let's try with the second one first. So it's called the show viewport and show render. Okay, show viewport. I'm selecting the second one, the second cache, and I'm gonna show viewport and show render. Should be like that. Okay, show viewport and show render, and the value we want to pipe it in is either on and off. Let me try first using an integer. So if I turning on and off, you can see there on the right side the eye is actually turning on and off. So instead of using this static value, we want to use something like some kind of trigger, you know, like a driver trigger. We can trigger it using some kind of formula, you know, like expression, just little expressions. We know that we have this frame number going in. This is frame number, and whenever, what we want is that when the frame number is bigger than 1000, then trigger this value. So let's try that real quick. So there you go. Whenever it's 1000, it's triggering that's on and off. For the same thing, we're gonna do it for the other mesh cache number 2. So the object goes in there. and we're gonna trigger it when it's larger than, when the frame number is larger than 2000. Please trigger the other one. So now if we scrub, and if everything is correctly done, you can see that this guy is going to be triggering correctly. So the first one, between frame 0 and 1000, that thing is going to be on. And then when I hit the frame 1000, it's going to switch to the next one, and then continue until the next one, frame 3000, and then it stops. Okay, so that's the behavior that we want, and that's exactly like exactly the right animations we have now. It's mixing all the 3 phase animations, and as a result, we can now have the whole animations. It's actually that simple, and of course, I didn't say that we have to use nodes all the time, but this is like a really kind of good, quick way to use some kind of logic before you even jump to Python coding or try to set up a drivers to do this. Of course, using Python, it can be scripted so that it's like with a click of button, it's gonna merge all these 3 and create a drivers for it. But here I'm using like Sverchok-Addon to display the whole process, and it's become very clear how you can do this. And then now you can actually script it. So yeah, that's how we can actually apply this. And I think I should have set it for 30 frames or 60 frames from the very beginning. So I think 30 frames. I record the face animation at 60 frames, and I export it at 30 frames by accident. So this is what we get. That's why it's a little bit stuttering and weird, but in reality, this should be running at twice the speed. And yeah, but anyhow, this animation is now a single, like a 3000 frames animations. I split it into 1000 because I was using animation nodes to do the facial capture data parsing, and then it keeps crashing if I try to render 10,000 frames or even 2000 frames. So I split it into many different Alembic animations, and then I mix it together into a single animations like this. So there you go. That's how you can join Alembic animations together using Sverchok animations and Blender modifier. Ideally, I think we should have some kind of Alembic mixer in the modifier, similar to this vertex wake mixing and edit. So we have not got the mesh sequence mixer yet, but using this way, you can still do it. And if you ever want to render, let me do something very quickly. There you go, magic, suddenly smooth. There's a quick trick there, and then you can render it out. Render using OpenGL is going to be super fast, especially with anti-aliasing at 5, and then yeah, still work. Let's try this. Let's save it first. Render, OpenGL render image. There you go. And if we render like 512 by 512 or even smaller, it's gonna be super fast. Actually, it's a good idea to zoom in a bit closer. Make the lens 55. Render animations. We have 3000. I shouldn't go too far. Just render a couple of frames like that, and then play rendered animations. This will actually open up this Blender animation player. It's really cool, but the render is actually inside the folder called temp. So there you go. That's how you can join multiple Alembic Cache animations into a single animation you can render. Hopefully you find this useful, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.